Since the terrible shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania yesterday, we've heard from different politicians, both left and right, on the Democratic side. We've heard from leaders like President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, President Barack Obama. They've all put out statements condemning the violence and wishing Donald Trump and his family well. Now, on the Republican side, we've gotten some of that, but from the far-right MAGA lunatics, apparently they didn't get the memo. They're not putting out unifying statements. They're putting out divisive statements and spreading really dangerous and disgusting conspiracy theories about the whole thing. So I want to show you some of these responses we've gotten from Republican politicians, people currently in our government. And I think you'll see what I mean. So the first statement I want to show you comes from a VP contender for Donald Trump, somebody who's been in the conversation. This is from Republican Senator J.D. Vance from Ohio. On Twitter yesterday, he said, quote, "Today is not just some isolated incident. The central premise of the Biden campaign is that President Donald Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs. That rhetoric led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination." Now, that is just one of the most disgusting things I've read. What the senator is trying to do here is, for some reason, shift the blame from that one lunatic, that one insane shooter, to Joe Biden and the Democrats. Instead of just blaming the one individual who acted alone according to the FBI, or at least according to their preliminary investigation, the senator doesn't do that. He decides to blame Joe Biden and the Democrats for what? Polling numbers? Fundraising? Riling up the base? Really? You know, it's disgusting. It's awful that Republicans, elected Republicans, people who are currently in our government and know better, think that riling up their base is more important than the democracy we have, the institutions that are trusted in the United States. They'd rather erode trust in the presidency and the FBI and these different agencies than just be honest. It really is awful. And to come from a sitting member of our government is even worse. And his middle paragraph there saying that the central premise of the Biden campaign is that Trump is an authoritarian fascist, and thus, because they've told the truth about Donald Trump, they must be responsible. Insanity. Look, it was tragic what happened. Terrible. But that doesn't change the truth about Donald Trump. It doesn't change the fact that he is a convicted felon. It doesn't change the fact that he assaulted a woman. It doesn't change the fact that he bragged on audio about assaulting women. It doesn't change the fact that he tried to illegally overturn an election, silencing the voices of 81 million Americans. It doesn't change the fact that he mishandled a pandemic. It doesn't change the fact that he took reproductive rights away from women, and millions of women in Republican states are struggling because of it. None of those facts have changed. So President Biden calling those things out is, number one, what political campaigns are about. Number two, protected speech. But also, number three, the truth. So I find it insane how the senator is trying to twist the truth into a narrative that benefits the Republicans, but doesn't benefit America. Joe Biden is allowed, and the Democrats are allowed, to have disagreements with Donald Trump and voice those disagreements. That does not cause a psychopath to do something crazy. Because then all of these Republicans would have to immediately concede right now that Donald Trump is responsible for a variety of political violence. January 6th comes to mind, but no. Senators like J.D. Vance, congresspeople like the far-right lunatics do not acknowledge that. Instead, they just lie and lie and lie. Look, this is a moment for unity. This is a moment for the American people to condemn political violence in all forms. And instead, a possible vice president pick for Donald Trump is taking a different route. He's taking a division route. He's going that way. The rest of the American people, the Democrats, are certainly taking a path of unity. A lot of these Republicans are deciding against that, and it's really sickening. So that's just one of these statements I want to show you. The next one is arguably worse. It's coming from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She put out this statement today on Twitter, the day after the shooting in Pennsylvania. She said, quote, "We are in a battle between good and evil. The Democrats are the party of all of those terrible things. They want to lock up their political opponents and terrorize innocent Americans who would tell the truth about it." And then she goes on to say, "The Democrat Party is flat out evil. And yesterday, they tried to kill Donald Trump." That is, again, a sitting member of government, a sitting congresswoman who knows better, who knows the truth. They have received briefings about this stuff. And now she's trying to claim that somehow the Democrats were behind the shooting of Donald Trump, that somehow the Democrats played a role. What is with the Republicans? I'm like getting frustrated right now. What is wrong with these people? Are they trying to get more people hurt? Are they trying to hurt the country further? I mean, what is she doing? It isn't wildly irresponsible for somebody with a platform like she has, an elected member of our government who has a vote on policy, somebody who has a bunch of these lunatics looking up to her, to make such an irresponsible statement. This is no longer political disagreement. If Marjorie Taylor Greene says, you know what, I disagree with Joe Biden's policy about this, perfectly fine. Disagreement is healthy in a democracy when it's done in a productive way. This is not politics. This is evil. This is wrong. This is against what America stands for. We're meant to be telling the truth about these awful events. And instead, Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to push another narrative, as does Senator J.D. Vance, trying to push it onto the Democrats to what? Score political points? To fundraise? To get some followers on social media? Be better. I mean, folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene and J.D. Vance should resign. How dare she suggest that Democrats tried to kill Donald Trump? It couldn't be further from the truth. We know what happened. We know that there was one lunatic who wanted to do something terrible and acted alone. But no, that's not good enough for the Republicans. If it's not a political talking point, if they're not slamming Joe Biden, if they're not slamming the Democrats, well, then it's not worth it for them. It's horrible. It really, really is horrible. Now, look, the last statement or response from a Republican is not necessarily a statement, but it's coming from Donald Trump himself. Donald Trump himself. His campaign, Donald Trump, sent out this email today. And it says, alert from Trump, never surrender. And it's the picture of him taken after the shooting, after the Secret Service has secured him, protected him, where he's raising his fist in the air. And they have a fundraising link at the bottom, which I didn't include in this photo, but that is the email that Donald Trump sent out to supporters today. They're fundraising off of this. They're fundraising off of this. A shooting where someone died. A father died. His kids are left without a father today. And there were two other people critically injured who are still receiving medical care. We're yet to get word on their condition. And Donald Trump is fundraising off of the event? Look, of course I wish Donald Trump well. I'm thankful that he is safe. I'm thankful that he was not injured. But this is wrong. The day after the shooting, you're fundraising, trying to raise money for your campaign. It just, it gives me a terrible vibe. I just feel gross, like, thinking about this. It's not something that I think, God forbid this were to happen to a Democrat would do, or somebody who cares about the country would do, somebody who cares about the victims of this terrible tragedy would do. Don't fundraise. Don't raise cash off of this. Why don't you reach out to the families? Why don't you hold off for a week at least? If you're going to fundraise, you shouldn't. But if you're going to fundraise, hold off a little bit. Hold off. Give some people who are injured some time. But that's not in the Republicans' goal. That's not what they want to do. And it's really, really sad. So, with these three things alone, from J.D. Vance making a horrible claim, Marjorie Taylor Greene spreading a disgusting conspiracy, and Donald Trump trying to fundraise off of this, it's like, what are we doing? We hear President Biden giving Oval Office addresses where he's saying, look, we need to come together as a nation. We need to bring down the temperature. And you have Republicans out there saying that Joe Biden did this. It's horrific. It's awful. It's awful. So anyway, I just wanted to bring these things to your attention. Really serious stuff, but I'll leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Also, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about all of this. And of course, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.